Breaking news, the Bucs have a new number 2 quarterback, and it's sort of who we've told you it was going to be all along if you've listened to this podcast, and why not? Teddy Bridgewater is going to back up Baker Mayfield, and that's because the Bucs are releasing, after they reach some sort of an injury settlement, minor shoulder injury that Kyle Trask sustained. Kyle Trask, former Gator, now a former Buc. And as I wrote, the only thing he's going to be backing up right now is the moving truck into his house to get out of town. Steve, we talked about this many weeks ago, and I really do think, everything in the league has a cause and an effect. Well, everything on earth, for that matter, right? And the cause was Baker Mayfield hitting his hand on a shoulder pad. This is my opinion now, and missing a couple days of practice. And of course, when you're kind of confronted with the fragility of your starting quarterback, even though it's training camp, you go, ooh, what if that could happen in the regular season, or it could happen out here at practice, and we might not be able to play him. So it was a little bit of a scare. And then Kyle Trask runs practice with the ones the next 2 days. And I don't have to tell you he didn't have a good practice, because after the first game, Todd Bowles told you he didn't have a good practices. And so when those 2 practices were over and Baker had been laid up, they went, anybody got Teddy Bridgewater's number? Let's get him in here right away. And when that happened, you just don't sign a Teddy Bridgewater to push Kyle Trask, right? Maybe to push him out of the way. But you did that because you think you're a Super Bowl team, and you had been confronted smack dab in the face with the fact that, if we lose Baker, this guy, number 2 here isn't going to get it done for us. We need somebody that's at least been in the battle, can help Baker with defensive coordinators or whatever that job is. But I really do. I think that at that moment, those 2 days had a big impact on Kyle's future, or lack thereof.
I don't think there's any question about it. And I think at the time we thought that was the case, but then you see Kyle Trask start, Teddy Bridgewater gets sick, and you start going, well, maybe.
Right.
But I think, all along, they brought Teddy in. Teddy knew he was going to be the backup.
I agree.
Barring something crazy happens, barring Teddy got hurt or just looked awful, that he was going to be the backup quarterback, and they were ready to move on from Kyle Trask. Yeah. And to be honest, as good as Jason Light's been the last few drafts, that was a miss. I don't think it was a horrible miss, but because you were trying to plan for the future, knowing you didn't have Tom Brady for life.
Right.
You had him for maybe one more year at that time. He ends up coming back for the second year, but you took him late second round, essentially a third round pick. And you took a chance 64. On a guy that's a project, and it hasn't worked out. Not necessarily all Kyle Trask's fault. You also, had to see what was out there, and you were able to get Baker Mayfield on a good deal for $4 million, and he beat Kyle Trask out. And, Kyle's on the outside looking in now. But you think you're a Super Bowl contender, you have a chance to upgrade your backup quarterback in case you might need him for a game, 2, whatever it is. And the Bucs made the smart decision to do that, to take a known quantity over, we'll say unknown, although they probably have a pretty decent idea of what he is.
5 years. I mean, he was here in 5 different training camps.
Yep. So they have a pretty good idea, and it wasn't good enough for what their aspirations are.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is that where they're at as a football team is not a place where Kyle Trask is at as a backup, And yes, he hasn't played, but practices matter, man. They do. That's why you practice. You have to instill some confidence in your teammates and your coaches. And boy, you talk about that, 2021 draft. Whew. Hold your nose when you see this one. And a couple of these guys actually played decent roles on the team over the years. Joe Tryon-Shoyinka was their first pick. Now, he was 32nd overall. They had won the Super Bowl. They're picking last in the first round. All right, Joe, coming off COVID, only played a couple of years college football, clearly never made it and didn't get a fifth-year option. Kyle Trask was their second-round pick, 64 overall. Now we know what happened to him. The third rounder was Robert Hainsey, and he did play some football and some important football,
Mm-hmm.
But that was after Ryan Jensen got hurt, and he wasn't all that. And now he's in Jacksonville. Your 4th-round pick was Jalen Darden, who was really a kick returner more as much as he was a wide receiver. Kind of overdrafted, in terms of where he was from. KJ Britt was your 5th-rounder, and of course he took over, for Devin White when Devin White kind of went in the jar. But KJ's no longer here. Then you had a guy named Chris Wilcox who never played. Then you have a guy named Grant Stewart who's still around the NFL, but only was here for a few years, who was your 7th rounder. He's a linebacker, mostly a special teams guy. Not one of those drafts in 2021. Maybe a little too much of the Super Bowl hangover going on after that. I don't know.
Well, but, they took some chances. You had Joe Tryon, Shawinka.
Yeah, he's a project.
Phenomenal athlete, but a project who sat out the COVID year, hadn't played in a long time, didn't really have a lot of college experience.
No.
You took a chance. Kyle Trask didn't play a ton at Florida, but looked good. It was a gamer. But you didn't need him to come in right away. So,
late bloomer. They were counting on him developing late. Yeah.
So you took a chance. So your top 2 picks, you were taking chances, and both ended up not working out the way you had hoped.
Yeah.
Hainsey helped on the offensive line, but maybe not as good as you thought. And then you start getting a 4th, 5th round picks. I mean, but yeah, that was as good as Jason Light's drafts have been. Like, that one was not. That one they missed, and it happens. I mean, it's like I said, Joe Tryon Shawinka. Is he could he have had potential to be a great football player? Yes, he did. It just didn't work out right.
Yeah.
And maybe the lack of experience, maybe the lack of amount of time he played in college. He was young when he came out, plus didn't play that year before. That all factors into things. And then, Kyle Trask, we know that story. So
it's also, the edge rusher next to quarterback. I don't have the statistics for this, but I do believe that that's as big a bust position as there is. If quarterbacks are 50-50, also don't have the stats for this. But, that edge rusher, which has, very high premium on it, edge rushers, left tackles, that sort of thing. If you're just ranking in terms of value, that's a big value position. And you don't hit on those all the time. Very, very infrequent, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, you couple that with the fact that, end of the round, guy didn't play much, so on and so forth. It just, it turned out to be a fairly unremarkable draft, to say the very least. So, but yeah, now they have Trask. Now Trask is gone. Now you have Bridgewater behind Bake. I've talked to Baker about this. We talked about it on this podcast. Baker is really comfortable with Teddy, and Teddy brings him something that Trask never could, and that is he has played a lot of football, and he has played against a lot of defensive coordinators, and so he knows their tendencies. He knows, if it's in the 4th quarter and they're in the red zone and they're moving the ball. This coordinator likes to go zero coverage and just blitz all the time. Like, there's just certain things that Teddy can give him that Kyle never could, because Kyle just simply didn't play. Not to mention he demonstrated in the preseason game that he played. Bridgewater did, outside of the hospital ball he threw to McMillan. He did come in without much or any reps with these guys that he was throwing to, and tossed a couple dimes up there for touchdown passes. And so for a guy that had been here 12 days versus a guy that had been here going on his 5th season, I think it was kind of glaring. The disparity was glaring. And I know Teddy got sick and didn't play in that game this past Saturday. I got news for you. I don't know that he was going to, because Bowles said that Kyle would start and then we'll go from there. And I always thought, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? We'll go from there. You don't have a declarative, Bridgewater will follow him. So that was kind of odd. So look, this has gone exactly the way we discussed on this podcast, and I've talked about other places, and that is, Kyle does not give this team, where they think they're at this year, what they need. And what they need is somebody that can keep things afloat in case you miss 1, 2, 3 weeks. You got a guy to turn to that's played a lot of football and can get it done. So not a big surprise there. I know it's going to get a lot of headlines. The other headline that was out there, and it's First of all, we don't know the whole story about any of this really because the Bucs have not said their piece. But Desmond Watson, who's from Armwood, University of Florida, he was at one point called the largest man in the National Football League. He came into camp some 460 pounds, undrafted free agent from Florida, where he did play. And the idea was we're going to get him in shape. I don't know what that meant. I don't know the weight goal or any of that. But they were going to get him ready to try to compete at some point, for a job. And it never happened. He was here 121 days. 121 days. And I can't tell you, how many times I saw him out there, sweating, walking around those practice fields out there, never able to take a single rep because they put him on the non-football illness list. And so his goal, his whole job was to get into shape, to lose weight. And when you're 460, I've heard almost 470 pounds, that's not going to happen overnight or even in 121 days. But they put him on a weight loss drug, first and foremost. I don't know if it was Ozempic or something else. They got him a nutritionist, obviously, that the Bucs have. We know about the strength and conditioning program they have with the trainers and Bobby Slater, and they do a great job. And I think they tried to get the guy into what they deemed to be football shape, and it either wasn't happening, didn't look like it's going to happen, or whatever. And he's not just like subject to waivers now, but I don't think there's an intention, at least at this point, to bring him back on the practice squad. Or more what I thought they were going to do, and they kind of hinted at this, was just put him on the reserve non-football illness list, and he can still continue to do what he's been doing, which is try to get into shape. But without knowing those discussions, hard to speculate. It just, from the outside, Steve, it looks it's not a great optic. I mean, on the one hand, they gave him this chance, right? Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, what was realistic? Was he going to lose 100 pounds in 3 months? Was he going to lose 75?
What you don't know, and here's the thing: it looks bad just on the surface, but
yeah,
a few things. One, did they have a goal of whatever he was supposed to lose? And I doubt it was 100 pounds in 100 days, but
right,
we need you at this weight, and he didn't. Maybe he didn't hit it. Maybe it's possible he asked to be let out. Maybe he wants to go see if another team has his interest or anything. It's hard to tell. Maybe he wasn't following the plan they had, from diet to exercise, everything. Right. You saw him out there, but you just don't know, because
we don't know what we don't know. But what we do know is that they spent 121 days, and this guy never got on the football field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the optics look bad. I tend to give Jason Light and the Bucs the benefit of the doubt that I don't think it's just exactly what it looks like. Mm-hmm. Some conversations along the way, and you don't know what those were.
Yeah.
We haven't heard, Desmond come out and complain about it. Now, he may, and we may get the real story. You may never. I mean, that's, the hard part is the team's not going to trash him.
Right.
They're not going to say anything other than, this is the decision.
Good luck. Yeah.
Right. So it'll be interesting if we ever do find out, but you just don't know.
And I'll say this, I don't know that they're completely slamming the door on him being on the practice squad at some point, but I was told for now that is not the intention.
And maybe once you get down further, and we'll give it another try.
Yeah, we're going to let you go. We have too many needs, on the team right now. We're carrying a couple guys on the 53 that are already injured. We're going to be needing our practice squad spots, but hey, continue on the program. We'll support you, and then, maybe there's a role on the practice squad down the road. We're not privy to those conversations. I expected him to be on the non-football illness reserve list, which would allow him to do exactly what he's been doing and not count against the 53-man roster. That seems simple if your goal is to continue to work with him. If he's not in the building, you really don't know what he's doing. So that one was tough.
It is, and it, you wish the kid good luck, and hope he continues to lose the weight, one, just for his health and for his quality of life and everything else, and hopefully he gets a shot, whether it's here in Tampa or somewhere else, to keep living out that dream of playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because I think, obviously the Bucs thought there's potential there. They wouldn't have had him in camp. They would have had him here for 121 days, if not. So hopefully he'll get a chance, whether it's this year or next year or in the future, to try to live out that dream again.
This is what Todd Bowles said a little while ago. This has been 10 days or more. He said, I'd like to have some long-term plans for him going forward because he's making some progress, and I feel like down the line he can help us. If they have long-term plans, they don't include, at least right now, the practice squad.
Well, down the line could help us, but this is a Super Bowl contender team.
Yeah,
much like with Kyle Trask. So if you have better options right now on the practice squad,
and
then for your team, you have to the same thing. You made the decision with Kyle Trask. We have a better option here. We need
absolutely.
We need to use the 53-man roster plus that 16-man practice squad to try to go win a Super Bowl. Like this kid, maybe a year or two from now has a shot, but he's not going to help us this year at this point. My guess is the determination they made. He's not going to help us this year. So as much as we'd love to keep him on the practice squad and keep working with them, we have to focus on this year. If we think we can win it this year, we can't hold a spot for someone for next year, the year after.
Right.
It just, that I'm guessing that's the determination that Jason Light, Todd Bowles, and the whole group over there made.
Yeah. No, obviously they did. And like I said, the information is he won't be back on the practice squad right away, and we'll just have to see. Now, they do have some guys they're going to want back. One of the guys that got cut, a little bit of surprise to me just because how well he played in the preseason, and that's the Iowa linebacker Nick Jackson, who actually led the team in tackles with 15 during the preseason. He had 2 sacks, also had an interception. I mean, he lit up the scoreboard. Every game it was complimented on his instincts and just how much he understood the game and the defense and all of that. And yet he got released. And I do know in this case, they absolutely, if he clears waivers, want him back. They want him back on the practice squad. The numbers were kind of against him at the inside linebacker position. You've got Levante David and Servassier Dennis are obviously the starters. Deion Jones was going to make this team. Right now, Antonio Greer is injured, so they'll probably reach some settlement with him. The guy he was competing for, and I always figured that one will make it and one will be on the practice squad, and I got it backwards. The guy he was competing with was Nebraska rookie John Bullock, and he is on the roster, and reports are that he has made the team. Now, they don't usually tell you who's made the team, but, if the Turk doesn't ask for your playbook, you're good. But Bullock ran down there, I think, the other night and had 3 different special teams tackles. When you can excel at something right now, right here, that's what you're going to be doing if you're going to get a helmet on Sunday. So it's Bullock in, and, unfortunately, Nick Jackson is out for now. Doesn't mean that they won't be back later on. They released a lot of guys. Some of them you've heard of, some of them you've not. With Trask now gone, this is interesting to me, and you rarely heard Todd Bowles talk about his quarterbacks this way, especially the third one. But he complimented the other night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, whatever it was when we talked to him. He complimented Connor Baselick, who kind of did a nice job in the second half and moved them when he needed to. Connor, I think, is going to be given a chance to be their practice squad quarterback. They're going to carry 3 if you include the practice squad, and I think he's going to be out there. I think he did a nice job in the games he played. So that was big. A lot of guys got waived. I mean, Luke Haggard, a tackle, Sua Peta, who just come back from the injury a year ago as a guard, Tyler McClellan, a tackle, another center, Jake Majors, who did a nice job, but he was injured, so he got waived injured. We're going to have a ton of cuts, and they'll all got to be done by 4 p.m. on Tuesday. But these last few are going to be tricky. They're going to be tricky. Haven't let Trey Palmer go yet. I imagine there's probably a couple places that are waiting for that to happen, whether that's Jacksonville or Carolina. It'd be smart to try to get some compensation for some guys you're going to cut anyway. But they're being very strategic, about how and who they put out there. So they still have till 4:00 on Tuesday, I believe, And by then we'll know.
It could be working on trades for those guys too. So
very likely, yes, absolutely. Like, and when you say trades, like, hey, how about you give me a 7th, or I'll give you a 6th back, or you give me a 6, I'll give you a 7th back, like that.
Yeah, we're going to cut him. He's going to get picked up. So if we can get a 6th or 7th, like,
right,
why wouldn't you?
And what you need is guys like Canales and Liam Cohen fighting over the same guy. Because now your draft pick compensation is going to go up a little bit. Which is cool. So
absolutely.
But it's a tough week. It's always difficult. These guys have been out at this now many of them since March or before March, with that dream, and for many of them, it's not going beyond this day, this week, this year. Like, they're not going to play football again. Very many of them. So that's it's tough. It's fun to see coaches tell guys they've made it to the NFL and all that celebration, but there's another side to it. That is really hard to watch sometimes. We'll get into more about the Bucs, I'm sure, and then the Rays, who are never going to lose again, coming up in just a minute. We'll tell you also about Breitling Boutique down the road. But first, this is something been wanting to say, and we're going to say it every night now until you freaking people go by this. So the Bucs are celebrating, their 50th anniversary, as you know, and here at the Tampa Bay Times, where I work and have for very, very many years, we've captured every triumphant moment, like every legendary power and unforgettable season. We have this limited edition. Now, listen to me, folks. We're only printing so many. 176-page hardcover coffee table book. I like toffee. Coffee table book. I'm like, all of a sudden, like, I'm verklempt. Paul Kaufman, Coffee Talk. It's a coffee table book. You can pre-order. Fire the cannons. Fire the cannons. All of a sudden, you got to do that in Gene's voice. Fire the touchdown, Tampa Bay. Fire the cannons. 50 years of Tampa Bay Buccaneers football. That's it. If you order now, you can lock in a 25% discount. This is not a cheap book. It's $44.95 retail, but you get that 25% discount. And it's only that discount is only there until October 2nd. So pre-order right now. Here's what you do. Grab a pencil, get a paper. I'll wait for you to come back. It is very simple to remember. It is bucks50.pictorialbook.com. bucks50.pictorialbook.com, and you'll get that commemorative book that has the great photography of the Tampa Bay Times, as well as stories written by moi and others. So let's experience this beautiful journey through the 2 Super Bowl eras, and it will ship directly to you by November 14th. So what a gift for the holidays. Folks, I'm doing your Christmas shopping for you. Go pre-order Fire the Cannons. Go pre-order that now, and you can do that at bucks50.pictorialbook.com. All right, it was cut down day and still is around the league. We'll know Tuesday at 4 o'clock what the rosters are. But speaking of quarterbacks, I was thinking, okay, maybe Jason Light's burning up the phone lines trying to see if anybody wants Kyle Trask. Maybe you can get a ham sandwich, a 7th-round pick, get back a 6th, that sort of thing. Because, in addition to re-signing Trask, he was supposed to make like $2.78 million. They guaranteed $1.4 million of it. Like, Kyle Trask is not walking out of here with empty pockets, right? He'd rather have a job, I'm sure. But and on top of that, and I watched this happen in the game. I turned and I think I said something to one of my colleagues, but Trask took a hit in that game and kind of started rolling his shoulder around. Now, I'm told it's a minor injury, but because he's hurt, he may get a little bit of an injury settlement on top of that. So he's going to be a very rich man, not to worry. But I thought that, well, okay, so if they're going to cut Trask, wouldn't you pick up the phone and call the Raiders in Las Vegas and your good friend John Spytek, who knows everything there is to know about Kyle Trask, which may or may not be a good thing if you're trying to trade him. But also out there is one Tom Brady. Of course, when Tom was here, he didn't want Kyle to be his backup. He wanted Blaine Gabbert, who had more experience. Okay, so but he does know Kyle very well. So I thought, maybe they would do that, but it didn't happen if they did. But there was some movement in the quarterback market. The Browns, who got about 17 quarterbacks, they're sending Kenny Pickett to the Raiders instead. And that's because they need another backup for Geno Smith because Aiden O'Connell fractured his wrist in the preseason finale and he's expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks. So there you go. There's a guy that's played, Kenny Pickett, headed to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, and it's one of those. Cleveland, obviously, Shedeur Sanders was set up to fail, so he's failed. Oh wait,
yeah,
no, he moved up. He just moved up the depth chart. So, but they're all in. I mean, Cleveland's going with what? 2 young Flacco, and then it's Gabriel and Sanders.
Yeah.
Although I don't think you're expecting much out of Cleveland this year, so why not go with 2 young guys? But
right. Well, I mean, I think they're all going to play. I would imagine Dylan Gabriel will be the next guy in. Shedeur Sanders, watching his last preseason game, he's got so much to learn, like stepping up in the pocket and other things. So that's going to be interesting to see just where he ends up and if how soon we'll see those guys. But look, if you're the Bucs, you feel pretty good about having a starting quarterback, and you're not in the quarterback market. If they could have moved Trask for anything, I think they would have. And we'll see now. We'll see. There's probably a team out there that liked him coming out of the draft at Florida because he was very productive. I think a comp for him is Mac Jones. Him and Mac Jones had some battles, when they were at Alabama and Florida. And frankly, Kyle outplayed Mac Jones a little bit the time that I saw him. So, Mac's in San Francisco, I think, backing up Brock Purdy at this point. Want to say he was in, Jacksonville a year ago or something like that.
Yep.
So he's bounced around. He could be one of those second, third act guys like Baker was. So you either got to find a wobbly young starter, or hope there's an injury or something. But I just don't know what people don't know about Kyle and whether he'll get that second shot. He's got pedigree and he was a second round pick, but just hadn't done anything in the league because he couldn't beat out Baker and he can't get in the game by himself. So 11 passes in 4 years, and now he's through. And it's a shame because he's a good dude. He works hard. Talked to him after the game, and he was kind of like, he was at peace with everything. Hey, whatever happens, happens. Had fun in the game. Guys out there really busting it, trying to make the team before the cuts. So this is life in the NFL, man. There's a lot of people whose dreams are dying, every minute out here, and it's a tough pill to swallow. You played this game since you were 8 or 10 years old. You made it to the highest level in an NFL camp, and and you may get released and never put on that helmet again. And so that's the downside of these days. And the Bucs are still about, I think, 8 or 9 more transactions cuts before they can get to 53, and they don't have to do that till Tuesday. They're going to have a practice today. It's going to be a little bit later at about 10:45, and then the same tomorrow, and then they're off as far as the access goes. We won't be back in there until at least the weekend or maybe a little bit after, and they'll start preparing for the first game at Atlanta, and the Falcons are going to be waiting on the Bucs when they go up there September 8th. So we're getting so close to it right now. It's just incredible. What I want you to get close to is Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. You know where that is. And Breitling Boutique is in the center of that mall. Go upstairs, second floor. That's where you're going to find the best customer service anywhere. The Breitling company has been making the best Swiss watches now for over 140 years. They've been in International Plaza for more than 5 years. Now, you want to go in there, shop for men's watches, the chronomats, the Navatimers. Obviously, that's what they're known for. But they also have watches for your wife or your girlfriend. These are sports watches. They're incredibly durable, also beautiful, and she can select from just a huge array of different wristbands. And while supplies last, this is the key. The Breitling Company is celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary with 32 different NFL team watches. These watches all represent one team. They have the team colors on the face of the watch, the logo inside. They're stunning. And if you go to TampaBay.com, you'll probably see an ad with the Buccaneers team watches. But then again, it's only while supplies last. So get over to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. And when you do, make sure you tell them that you heard about it on Sports Day Tampa Bay. All right, break up the Rays. They're never going to lose again.
Undefeated the rest of the way. 31-0 the rest of the way.
Easy.
Get to 95 wins.
Yeah.
No problem.
Could they win the AL East with 95? Because that's where we're headed.
I don't know if they'll win the AL East, but they'll probably be second.
It's incredible, man. I mean, what a season of roller coaster rides here. Just incredible. But can we just stop and say, I forgot all about Wander Franco because they have Junior Caminero. This dude's going to hit 50.
It's August 25th,
right?
As Monday night's game was.
Correct.
And he's already second most home runs in Rays history as far
franchise
as
history,
season.
right? Not for a rookie, but franchise history.
Tied Pena and Brandon Lau.
Jeez.
So tied for second. He's what, 7 away from the record, Carlos Pena, who's first. And it's August 26th today.
And it's his first full season in the majors.
Yep.
And he's just figuring out what he's doing. I mean, wait till he really knows what's happening out there.
Yeah. Hit 2 more on Monday night.
His second home run on Monday night was a joke, okay? Because he's fooled on the pitch. He just golfs it out with one hand, and it just explodes, and he drives it well over the wall. I mean, the guy is so strong and barrels up so many baseballs. You know, remember before the season, they were like, Mark Tompkins was talking to him, was kind of goaded him into saying, how many home runs do you think you can hit? You know, I got a number, and that number was 30, and he's gonna have to double it minus 10, and he might get to 50. I mean, he legit has an outside shot at hitting 50 home runs.
11 home runs in 31 games. That's possible.
Extremely possible.
It's a great pace, but I mean,
he hits them in bunches, though. You know.
Yeah, and right now he's hot. He's been hot.
Yep.
So much for the home run derby ruined your swing.
I know. It was actually perfect for him. I mean, every swing he takes is a home run derby swing, you know, not affecting him whatsoever. But, man, the Rays are in a little bit of a roll here.
Yeah,
here we go.
Yandy Diaz got his career high tying 22nd home run.
22 bombs. He's had a nice year. A little bit of a slow start, but he's come back strong. Oh, by the way, the Williams kid, the shortstop, he's kind of good. He's like 5 of 11 with 5 runs batted in already in just a couple games.
He's doing great. I mean, that's
nice start.
You know, whether he's up here for the rest of the season or just until
probably not. Yeah,
Kim or Walls gets back, but he's making it hard to if when Kim comes back or Walls, it's making it hard to say, hey, let's send him down. I mean, you kind of want to see what the kid can do.
What do you make of the Rays? And I think I'm right about this. When they signed Kim, they gave him a player option. In other words, it was a 2-year deal, but Kim could say, "Nah, I'm good," and leave after 1. Too bad the Rays can't say that, right? Because they may have their major league shortstop right now in the major leagues.
Yeah, but Kim can also play second. You can move him around if you needed. You could also trade him. I mean,
for $15 million a year, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, so if Kim opts out of it, the Rays could still qualify him as a free agent, which would be a $21 million contract if he took it. And the reason you qualify him is you hope he signs somewhere else and you get a draft pick for it.
Yeah.
But it's a risk because it would be $21 million if he says, okay, I'll take the qualifying offer.
Sure.
What you really want, if you're the Rays, is you want Kim back quickly and you want him to catch fire. You want him to have a great last month.
His market value goes up, or you even reconsider and want him yourself.
Well, so he opts out and then gets a contract elsewhere.
Yeah, you want him to go on his own volition. You want him to go out.
Yeah.
But
if you're ready for Carson Williams to be the starting shortstop, and Caminero's at third, and then you saw Brendan Lau's got a fairly cheap option for next year, like $11 million or whatever at second, and you got Aranda at first. And Yandy is your DH. I mean, if you're happy with that. I mean, the outfield's where they got to figure out what they're doing. The infield, they're fine. They've got pieces in the infield. What's your outfield look like? What is Johnny DeLuca? What is Richie Palacios? We don't know.
Not here.
They're not staying healthy enough to know what they're
not here, yeah.
Chandler Simpson, you like that piece.
I like that piece a lot. I even like Jake Mangum.
You like Mangum. I don't know if he's long-term play. I mean,
he's not an all-star, but
Josh Lowe, you got to figure that out.
Yeah, Josh has got to figure Josh out.
He's had one good year.
Yeah.
And every year you think, well, this is the year he's going to get back to that, and he's not.
No.
They got to figure that part out. I mean, the outfield is where that's where they have holes.
Yeah.
Catcher, hopefully you figured it out with Fortes and Fiducia.
You hope one of those guys will break through, right?
Yeah, that's going to be your tandem next year. So the outfield's where you need to upgrade.
Yeah.
Because, 3/4 of your infield is Aranda, Williams, and Caminero.
Oh, you got some bats now.
So they're young. So second base with Brendan Lau, and then Taylor Walls is your backup who can back up all those positions. Fantastic. That's what you want your backup. Not going to give you a ton at the bat, but, man, he'll play defense.
Well, Taylor's worth it. He wins against replacement type deal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's that guy, that analytics guy. But
I think you got to figure out your corner outfielders. I mean, if is Pereira the right answer? He's struggling at the plate.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows about that?
Not sure he's ready yet. And I don't. I think they like him, but I don't know if he's ready yet.
He's been here a couple days. I mean,
yeah,
it's going to take a year or so to figure that out. But look, they're not the worst team. And could they go on a run here? Like, could they actually pull this off?
If you get starting pitching like Seymour pitched tonight,
jeez, he was lights out. I mean, you could you can't. You're playing the games. You're in the games. You have to win the games, but you could try to get back in this before it's too late.
We talked about last night how, the story of this season to this point is they overvalued their starting pitching.
Right.
But if they can live up to, for the next 31 days, what you thought
you were getting, yeah.
It does, Shane Boz tonight with an extra day rest. Does that help him?
Right.
They put Seymour, Boz should have pitched Monday. They pushed him back a day to put Seymour in there. Does that help him? Maybe. We'll see.
It might. We'll see. Yeah.
Drew Rasmussen pitches Wednesday. He's been your best pitcher all year.
If you get to Rasmussen and you've won 2 games, you feel pretty damn good about your chances.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what they need. They need a couple sweeps here. They need to sweep a team or two on the road or, wherever they're playing them.
Well, don't forget, Cleveland's one of the teams they have to jump.
Yes. That's right.
So this was a huge win tonight. And if you could sweep them.
Oh, it would be amazing.
I mean, you're a half game behind Cleveland now. You win tonight.
You'd be swapping places.
You win tonight, you pass them.
Yeah.
So there's one less team to pass. Yeah, if you can sweep them, then you're a game and a half up. And that's one team you've knocked off. Now go get the next one. You're going to have Seattle come into the Trop next week. That's the team in the third wild card spot.
Right.
So, I mean, it's still a long shot.
It's a hell of a long shot, but it's doable mathematically. And then the first thing you got to do is start playing better, which they are.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, wow, what a season by Caminero, man. I mean, you think about the rookies they've had the last few years in here, the international players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, could you imagine? And we can't. But Wander Franco and Caminero them together for years and years.
That's what it was supposed to be.
Man, oh man. He originally was a Cleveland Indian. That's who he signed with.
Yep.
Or the Guardians.
Yep. I think it might have been the Indians back then, but
yeah, it could have been, yeah.
Yeah, he was there for 2 years and got traded for was it Myers, right? Tobias Myers.
Yeah, I think so. But can you imagine what they're thinking right now? Like, oops, the kid can play, man.
There's lots of those. I mean, the Cardinals traded Randy Arozarena.
Yeah, they did.
No, they got a pretty good pitcher in Libator. He hasn't lived up to what you'd hope, but he's still good.
Right. Randy Land came alive for a while.
The hard part is when they're 16, 17, 18, like you don't know what they are.
No, of course
not. They got talent, but some guys put the work in, some guys can handle the grind, others can't.
I mean, trying to project what an 18-year-old is going to do, although I still say, like, sometimes the better prospects are out of high school. And at minimum, if you draft them out of high school, you can at least put them in your system, protect their arms, teach them your way of playing the game. There's a real big upside to getting high school guys, and that's why so many of them go higher. But the college guys have experience too, so it's just individuals based on the player, obviously,
and so much of it too. And we talk about this in the NFL a lot, particularly with high draft picks, but even in baseball, it doesn't matter which round.
No.
Like the organization you go to matters.
Absolutely.
Some of them are better than others, period.
Yeah, no question.
At developing and teaching and coaching and and not just the physical, but the mental, and because baseball's a grind.
Oh, it's
like
a
you're going to the minors, you're going to be down there for years. Most guys.
Yeah.
And up and down and up and down. Like, that's a big part of it too. It's not like the NFL where you came out right out of college where now you're making millions in college and then going right in the NFL to make millions. Like baseball's, it's a grind, man. You don't just go from, there's very few Paul Skeens that make it that quickly to the majors.
Right, exactly.
And he's phenomenal, by the way.
Yeah.
When through 50 starts, 50 career starts for him, he has a 2.02 ERA. That is the second lowest all time through 50 starts.
So kind of good.
Only to Vida Blue, who had a 2.01 ERA.
The great Vida Blue.
Yeah. In 50 starts, he's given up 66 earned runs. That's it.
Wow.
And he's only got 19 wins.
Yeah, well. And he's with the Pirates team that has the most beautiful ballpark in the world and no players that they'll spend a dime on. It's incredible. Folks, if you think Sternberg was cheap, I'd give you Pittsburgh. And the funny thing is they have everything that the Rays and Sternberg has wanted all this time, and that is a beautiful venue and a beautiful ballpark in, by the way, one of the greatest sports towns in America, bar none. Pittsburgh is that place. And yet you can't make that work? Really?
Yep.
Gee, yeah. Ugh. Was just up there, man. I'd watch a game there every day if I could. It was gorgeous, gorgeous place. Right on the river. It's phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, baseball's funny, man. Baseball is like most pro sports, it's all about confidence, and it can be transferable. And you get a bunch of guys believing like they did when they had the best records from like mid-May to June through June. They get on one of those rolls where they start winning series after series. They may find themselves in contention here before long, but off to a good start, off to a good start for sure. All right, the Bucs will be back at practice. I think we're going to have a couple of small practices starting around 10:30 these next 2 days, and so we'll have a better feel, at least by 4 o'clock tomorrow anyway, about who is and who is not on the 53-man roster. The Rays continue their series against the Cleveland Guardians as they climb their way slowly back up the standings and try to get into playoff contention. What else we got?
The final cuts today at 4 o'clock for the NFL, and then
4 p.m., yeah.
We'll see over the next 24 hours who clears waivers and who gets picked up.
Well, there's going to be a practice squad, so if you're not a vested veteran, if you're somebody that doesn't have 4 years in the league, you have to go through the waiver claim process. The order is set based on last year, in the records, and so you go right down the waiver claims, and if you're not claimed, you're free to sign with anybody on a practice squad, which is the Bucs are hoping all their guys clear waivers and don't get claimed. But we know there's still some more cuts to go with like, receivers, and we know Dave Canales is out there salivating, and so is Liam Cohen and others. Don't know how many running backs. This is all a sliding scale, but in as much as we talked about Trask, and that we were waiting for that shoe to drop, found out about Desmond Watson, so some of the biggies are kind of gone at this point, but still some tough decisions to remain. But check it all out on the Tampa Bay Times on TampaBay.com whenever you want an update on that sort of thing. And make sure you go see our friends at Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. That's where you're going to find the most beautiful timepieces you may ever own. So get in there. They also have watches for your wife, your girlfriend. I'm telling you, this place is where you want to go. It's Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Let them know you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. For Steve Versnick, I am Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day, everybody.